Bonjour à tous. Comment allez-vous? Je vais bien, merci. Let me continue the second part of logicism in substance and attribute by prosteriori. I extend my gratefulness to Dr. Graham's article on ancient Greek philosophy at Laval University Library on 5th floor. Tannery and Burnett cited that we should consider our systematic differences, that powers are causally, ontologically, or logically prior to stuff, while in philosophy of prosteriori providing energy instead of power and matter for stuff to principal discipline in law of thermodynamic, as Gibbs said, as all atoms have a tendency to noble gas. In modern substance, we pass physics and astronomy for creature of Milky Galaxy and our solar system as a part where our Earth as in contain, whereas we think on chemistry and biochemistry on how azotobacter as an anaerobic evolved to aerobic and air dominated by oxygen and nitrogen to progress advanced photosynthesis and respiration. Thus, H2O, O2, N2 are dominant stuff or matter in our planet and our body. Actually, carbon as well. In physiology of prosteriori, contrary has as such supreme as a fundamental base of electron and proton in atoms, and being developed in substance like a seed as a germination in two opposite sides to form root and shoot as a constructive mode in botany. Anaxagoras, despite Aristotle's account on so-called elements, refers to substance as a stuff and P as a stand for power in quality. He contends that there is a mixture grafting inside substance as a S equal S1 plus S2 plus S3 to Sn as infinite, as for basic sets of powers like P equal P1 plus P2 to Pn as infinite, for qualities indexed and a scale by senses like taste, sweet, bitter, sour, salty, or umami in totality in power or qualities, while dry and wet or cold and hot are other sentimental parts of this quality power. For Anaxagoras, wood consists of hard, dry, cold, but by fire is hot, soft, and ash, while prosteriori thinks to cellulose, that is a polymer made of glucose and lignin, a polymer made of phenol molecules, as a polysaccharide in totality. Thus, all components of substance with their quality are concrete in chemistry, as a reductionism abstract for Anaxagoras in 4 BC in time of Eleatic epoch. In ontological derivation on set of entities. This deduction turns me as my work experiment in autopart delivery why original one is more expensive than aftermarket autoparts, and at this moment alloy and metallurgy as a physical and chemical behavior of elements in one contain for its durability of quality, whereas for impeticles as a main substance or for entities earth, water, air, and fire, blood, and bone are equal parts of these four entities. Thus, Empedocles is reductionist in his derivative substance in terms of the properties of elements matter. In that time, Anaxagoras thinks matter in same temperature but different quality as dry and wet. While prosteriori refers to molar diagram in enthalpy delta H and RH relative humidity refers my article in International Plant Propagation by this title, Computerized Climate Control in Plant Propagation, by editor Dr. Charles Hazer, when deleted my keyword automatic set value by modeling of plant physiology based on photosynthesis, transpiration, and respiration, and innovative drastically in agriculture and horticulture. This article is published in 2009, and I delivered in a conference in Montreal 2007. Was my entrance to the Canada, and when I used to work in Ministry of Agriculture in Iranian regime, so it was very escalation part. They said no, have to be stopped. They said this is a science and new innovation. Anyhow, was studied in the Netherlands, and something happened between Canada, US, Netherlands, Iran, and the US, and finally published. And I have to find out if there is no keyword of automatic set value. I have to complain to the International Propagation Society for this press, because if it's omitted, that doesn't have any essence of the articles. And this is a modeling of the plant, modeling based on a set value by the plant physiology in future between transpiration, photosynthesis, and respiration. The computer gets a signal of what the plant wants, and he put the set value for EC, pH, and the other components the plant needs. So it's nothing is a manual. Or Anaxagoras refers to salinity of water as a quality. As we know, water with TDS, total dissolved solid, if less than 30,000 milligram per liter, can be considered fresh water. From 30,000 to 10,000 milligram per liter, TDS will be considered brackish water. In excess of 10,000 milligram per liter will be considered saline. Groundwater with salinity greater than seawater, about 35,000 milligram per liter, is typically referred to as a brine. When Anaxagoras pronounces no two bodies are similar, prosteriori extends to individual element by different electron, proton, and neutron, or for him formula of component is power in quality, while at this moment we consider stability Gibbs based on an enthalpy delta H and entropy delta S in thermodynamic. When salts placed in the water, NaCl will often react with the water to produce hydroxyl negative OH by positive Na sodium and positive H3O in anion as a negative ion, and cation positive charge ion in a hydrolysis reaction based on how strong the ion acts as an acid or base. it will produce varied pH level. According to Dr. Graham, in his paper Anaxagoras as a reductionist, refers to Tannery Burnett that Anaxagoras is more radical reductionist than Empedocles, who reduces some sets to one set, but Anaxagoras reduces all stuffs to entities. Anaximenes reduces a large set of substance to air. Thus, reduction is a scientist, researcher who looking for nature of substance and its entities. An idea of Anaxagoras as a stuff is consist of set of entities as such leap in his epic to periodic table. In the work of Eleatic objection to traditional philosophy, Anaxagoras felt impelled to make a bold innovation at just this point. Milesius' objection to following entity of substance is intrigue. When cited, X is composed of Y and Z in relation R. End of the quote. In prosteriori can be elongated in element and chemical bonds like H2O is composed of covalent bonds of H and O oxygen in interrelationship of hydrogen bond in water quality as the Anaxagoras power. Henceforth, ancient Greek polytheism based on a cosmology is to search a material substance which does not meet any contradiction to scientific development in 21st century. When Empedocles stresses on the four elements air, water, soil, fire, while Anaxagoras entities are iron, gold, black, white as a part of substance. But for posteriori description, color from attribute as an adjective name is a substance in periodic table when red is Pb3O4, lead oxide or lead tetroxide, Fe2O3, iron oxide or ferric oxide, HGS, mercury sulfide. Blue is a cobalt, COOL2O3, oxide cobalt and aluminum oxide. Green is 2CuCO3, copper carbonate, and CuOH2O, copper hydroxide as a pale greenish blue. Yellow is a BaCrO4, barium chromate, and As2S3, arsenic trisulfide. White is TiO2, titanium dioxide. Black paint by mixing together equal parts red, blue, and yellow paint, or mixing red and green or blue and orange, or yellow and purple, or blue and brown. Orange is Pb2SNO4, lead tin oxide. Therefore, all the color is a substance and matter, is not the adjective or attribute. Empedocles perceives that compound substance like a birth, death, or coming to be and perishing are merely names as posteriori calls attribute. Then example of painting image to form three men and woman beasts are not ultimately existence. As Parmenides cited, there are just these things. End of the quote. For Democritus, there is a distinction for reality atoms and void of unreality in supervenient properties, between sets of properties or sets of facts by convention, taste like a sweet, bitter, or feeling hot and cold, or observation, vary colors. Then Democritus cited sensible properties are construction of human experience, the realities which cause them lie beyond the senses. End of the quote. While prosteriori in critical phenomenology reveals this secret by essence electromagnet on our reciprocal sensors to brain, whereas as such attribute yet an enigmatic on how gustatory cortex or taste cortex and thermoreceptors or visual cortex for human sapiens to define, for example, sweet, bitter, hot, cold, or green, red, and other colors as such interpretation at these signals. Anaxagoras is not a eleatic pluralis for sure when cited B16 as a component of the power of B15. End of the quote. While we prove the similarity of elements in each group of periodic table when he explains on a dense, cold, hot, posteriori discuss on a Gibbs thermodynamic energy of ice to liquid. So as we looking for a strong systematic reason. The common bonds of posteriori with reductionists like Anaxagoras, Parmenides, Empedocles, or even Aristotle is priority of epistemology and ontology than metaphysics. While Democritus has a skeptical, downright deflationary view of sense experience, Anaxagoras cited, appearances are a vision of the invisible. End of the quote. Far from stressing the alienation of subject and object, the incompetence of sense experience. Anaxagoras is somehow deeper than Democritus when stresses on the dependability of ordinary perception when cited, because of their weakness, we are not able to discern the truth. End of the quote. Their weakness means our senses, our system of the body. Democritus explains that we cannot observe gradual transitional of color, but Anaxagoras seems to want utilizing our senses experiences precisely to explicate the failures of the senses. Anaxagoras in Mechanics of Sensation cited, observation and reason taken together allow us to compensate for the weakness of the senses. End of the quote. Other title or subtitle, Prosteriori in Logical Investigation of Husserl, achieving and accomplishing philosophical clarification of pure mathematics, which is pure essence, pure ontology, and pure true in reality, as the logic of Aristotle in logos intrinsic axiom in semantic, while Wittgenstein and Derrida in proposition of language, Russell is on symbolism of algebra in proposition. Husserl and posteriori beyond of those in reality of science in pure mathematics, by this difference that he is in quantity, philosophy of arithmetic, while I am in qualitative essence in geometrical polynomial quadrant as a number in contain of waves in a sound and vision by signify indicator in its alphabet to reach pure true ontology of universal energy from law of mathematics in wave of electromagnet in brain cells, that those are enigmatic in neurology as infant as such future development. Henceforth, logic in prosteriori needs a digressing. Prolegomenon has arisen of unavoidable problem which constantly hindered for achieving logical philosophy geometry through clarification of arithmetic as advanced logic by traditional ones from Aristotle epoch in reformulation and providing us with an intelligible rational essence of deductive science. Thus, searching formal unity and symbolic methodology of logic in Bertrand Russell cannot satisfy me when biology is contained and all mathematics a logical tool to describe pure reality of biochemistry and biophysics in physiology of neurons. A problematic and obscure which need deeper analytical philosophy, and this logic is not adequate. Nonetheless, its function in formal arithmetic is vital to elucidate and theory of wave in a quadrant of manifold is far beyond of peculiarities of number and its extension lifted me from narrow sphere of mathematics in arithmetic and pushed me towards a universal theory of formal deductive system in wave of electromagnet in MRI, an indefeasible project in quality which is not just belong to universal essence of mathematics but method of calculation has its root in physiology of neuron in this essence. Having indefeasible discipline in mathematical form of geometry, it is not meant to deny syllogism, but new form of inference quite alien to tradition. Logic in prosteriori has a common views in logical investigation for pure truth based on a logical law in mathematics. Thus, psychological science never came to satisfy phenomenology. End of this part. We continue. Thank you.